Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I look fine. How do I sound? Like, do you hear anything? Okay, so hang up the phone and let me know if you hear sound. All right.
Oh, and welcome. Your man.
Hello? 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 Hold on. Hello? Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, that it's gonna do that because the time is always yeah, but it's fine. Like the sound is fine. Okay. Okay. All right. But I look good. Like I look fine. I look okay. All right. Cool. That's all I worried about. All right. Bye. Let me do my prayers. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, and my demons come from me when they hear my voice. We can't love. Oh, I really wanna talk to you. I really wanna talk to you. I want someday smoke with you the other day. We can't love. Oh, I really wanna talk to you. I really wanna talk to you. How can I talk to you? I across the room. Do you even need the truth? Oh, no. How can I talk to you? I love it when you say it so. I'm so much. Yeah. Someday, smoke with you the other day. We can't love. I really wanna talk to you. I really wanna talk to you. It's so
Hi all. I can't see y'all, but I do see I have 4 people here. Oh, hi mommy. Hi sissy. Hi. I'm just gonna give it a little bit more time, let more people come in, play some music, but feel free to add comments and welcome.
I really wanna talk to you. I really
Let me just grab something real quick and we'll get started.
I really want to talk to you. I really want to talk to you. How can I talk to you? Pray I trust the room. Do you even need the truth? Oh, no. How can I talk to you?
Okay. I'd like to say welcome again. So right now you're tuned in to Love Through Intimacy. My name is Zenobia. I am the CEO and founder of Judith's Joy. Just a little bit of history about Judith's Joy. We are a ancestral but spirit-led herbalism, teachings, medicine, different types of implements that are used to, make the body whole spiritually, emotionally, physically. And yeah, so getting started, I'm going to share my screen. Again, feel free to be in the comments. I can see everything. So if you have any questions, I need to be louder, or if there's anything you want me to go back to, please feel free to comment. All right, let me try to share the screen here and we'll get started. Let's do this. And I apologize in advance if there are any hiccups as far as technological issues, because if you know me, you know I'm not the most tech savvy, but I'll be working. So let's go to share screen. Entire screen. Share. Okay. I know you guys can probably see my screen. Let me know if this looks fine. I don't know if you guys can see it. If somebody can comment and say if you see my screen as far as like notes, let me know. Actually, let me see. Give me a second, guys. I do apologize. I don't know. Yo, Nigel, you can see my screen? Okay. Okay, hold on. I had to check in with the guru and see. Okay. You good, bro. I'ma just keep going. I'ma just keep going because I thought the StreamYard would
What?
show my screen.
It's not showing your screen? You mean like to show that?
Yeah.
That's.
I might have to do the StreamYard link. I'll put it in the YouTube.
Another link?
Yeah, sure.
My browser.
Okay, guys. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna actually drop a comment in here for you guys. If you guys could transfer over here, if you want to look at the handout, because I made a handout for you guys, but virtually it's not allowing me to do so on YouTube. So I'm going to paste the link. If you can go to that link if you want to utilize the worksheet, but if not, you have me and I'll speak as thoroughly and as clearly as possible. But if you are a visual person like me and you need to see things in order to understand, please follow that link and you will be able to see my screen as I am sharing it through StreamYard. So with that said, I'm going to proceed. And this is Le Document. Huh? It didn't work? No. I just put it in the I'm sorry, y'all. All right. Okay. So with this, we start with intimacy. So how do you define intimacy? What does intimacy mean to you? I definitely know that it is. Well, let's go with the basic definition, as in the not the Urban Dictionary, the Webster Dictionary. Excuse me, Urban Dictionary is for Black culture, but we'll get back to that. Intimacy is basically defined as close familiarity or friendship, closeness, or also simply a private, comfy, cozy atmosphere. So basically, intimacy could be used in a physical sense as far as your space, how you use your space, how you take care of your space as far as spiritually, whether you're cleansing your space, whether you're giving positive energy to your space. And it could also, which we're talking about today, how are we intimate with ourselves? So on this document that I have, if you are interested too, I can also forward them an email. Just let me know too in the comments. But it is four types of intimacy. You have emotional intimacy, mental intimacy, spiritual intimacy, and physical intimacy. So usually most people think of intimacy, the most common and most known one is physical, because when you're intimate with someone, it's a deeper level of feeling as opposed to just surface level of feeling. But we'll get more into that. I see you, Kim Black. I definitely will email you. Just drop your email in the chat for me, and I'll definitely get that to you. So going back to starting with emotional intimacy. So basically, emotional intimacy is defined as affirming, caring, interested in each other's feelings. So to define emotional, because many people have different definitions of emotional. So emotional, according to Webster's dictionary, is arousing or characterized by intense feeling or having feelings that are easily excited and openly displayed. So basically what we could get from that is like you're very expressive, simply put. Like you express your emotions no matter what emotion it may be, you're very expressive. So with that you have emotional intimacy is basically wanting to know and be interested in one's feelings. So today, before I get too into this, I want to express that intimacy can be looked at in different levels. So you have self-intimacy, you have intimacy that you can have with your spouse, significant other, you have intimacy that you can have with your family, different levels of that. And then, intimacy can basically be applied to different aspects of life. It's just how you interact. I see intimacy as an interaction and an exchange, sort of. But I'll definitely delve into that later. But going back to the emotional intimacy, so how are you interested in your own feelings? So if it applied to self, you would sit with the idea of, okay, how do I process my emotions? Am I in tune with my emotions? How do I become more intimate with my emotions? How do I gain that connection with my emotions? A technique for that, which I'll explain and go into depth later, would be a form of meditation, which is touch meditation. But it definitely helps in the emotional aspect. But a question that I have for you guys, and I'm going to keep posing the questions for each type of intimacy, is: Are you emotionally intimate with yourself? Are you emotionally intimate with your partner? And are you emotionally intimate with your family? So if you want to pop into the chat and answer that, see how you're feeling, what's coming up for you, please feel free to do so. I'll definitely go through them. But that's the emotional aspect. So with mental now, so most people hear mental, they be like, oh my God, mental, crazy. Like, no, mental is just simply relating to or of the mind. So anything that has to do with the brain, cognitive thinking, cognitive activity, anything of those aspects, you're definitely going to have the word mental be thrown in there as a descriptive. So mental intimacy is basically the stimulation, in my words. I'm going to say this in my words. Mental intimacy is the stimulation of the mind through deep, meaningful conversation, wanting to understand what one is truly thinking. And it could just be simply being cognitively present and being in tune, I want to say connected to one's thoughts. Because, throughout our day, we have a flowing amount of thoughts. So it could go from one thing to the next, all over the place. Mars, Jupiter, here, Earth, like it doesn't matter. Our brains are constantly working. But with mental intimacy, it's actually analyzing those thoughts to like the core. So again, the different aspects of intimacy. So self. Do you engage in mental intimacy with yourself? Like, are you engaging your thoughts? Are you sitting with yourself and asking, where's that thought coming from? Why did that thought come up? What triggered that thought? Those type of steps. And then you could also incorporate this with, your partners and your family, because simply it's a matter of having meaningful conversations. So um, if you have a significant other and you want to get to understand them better, that's a form of mental intimacy. Like, what's going on in your head? Why do you process like this? How do I better understand how you work as a human being in the flesh? And also spiritually. So finding that understanding of the individual through conversation, through interest, because a lot of people you tend to be with have the same interest as you in some way, shape, or form. So some questions, another technique, sorry, not questions, technique would be a tea. I'm going to go into the herbs that I paired with this teaching. I think some of you would like it because it's herbs that you know. And then also touch meditation. So moving on to spiritual, this is my fave. So spiritual is defined by Webster as respect for each other's beliefs, shared purpose, nurtures each other's inner peace. That right there. Nurtures each other's inner peace. So to define spiritual, before I get into all of that, defining spiritual is basically relating to or affecting this human spirit or soul. So depending on what your idea of spirituality is, your idea of spirit is how this will affect your spiritual intimacy. Because if you don't believe in spirit and you don't believe in God, then there will be kind of a disconnect when it comes to spiritual intimacy. And the goal of this conversation is to align. How do we align all four and not have an imbalance in one, and then that it causes effects in the other? So with that said, spiritual intimacy is basically knowing and respecting one's beliefs, as I said before. So basically, whether you follow Christianity, your partner follows Islam, or you guys follow the same, religious beliefs, respecting that, respecting whatever practices come with that, and, uplifting their practices as well. Nurturing each other's inner peace. Again, I love the word nurturing because as humans on this earth, we need to nurture every aspect of our being, whether that is emotional, whether that's spiritual, whether that's physical, whether that is mental, but nurturing. Nurturing is so, so important. And I think that we tend to forget to nurture ourselves, and nurturing the spirit will lead to balance, I feel, through all aspects. And to me, let me say to me, because I don't want to offend anyone, but to me, I feel like nurturing the spirit leads to a balancing of all other aspects of life. So basically, when it comes to spiritual intimacy, how are you watering each other? It's something that we hear, on social media. We hear it in everyday, lives, sometimes in different conversations with people. But how do you water each other? Are you watering each other, or is one person watering one over the other, allowing them to blossom and bloom where we're staying, depleting, withering in the back shadows? So looking at that concept of how can we pour into each other so that it's an even exchange and that it is accepted and move forward in your process of your relationship, so that there's growth and elevation there. But also with spiritual intimacy, there's a book I want to recommend if you're interested in books. I think I may do a list of books soon, but it's called Spirit of Intimacy by Sobonfu Some. I'll write that down also in the chat. But it's Spirit of Intimacy by Sobonfu Some, who is the late wife of Elder Malidoma Some. And in this book, which I found amazing and I hold to this day, which is why I bring up touch meditation, she mentioned the practice of acknowledging the spirit that brought you two individuals together, and not just individuals, but also family members. So most people think, oh my gosh, I just happened to meet this person, it's amazing, beautiful. sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes, there are external forces that are like, okay, well, oh my gosh, perfect match. Like, let's get them together. So, like, that was crazy just now, but don't mind me. So basically, like acknowledging the spirit or the energy, even if you don't want to call it spirit, the energy that brought your two spirits and energies together, could definitely, uplift relationships, definitely solidify bonds, and also keep you in alignment with your purpose and things that are supposed to be happening on your journey. So when I say acknowledging that spirit, I mean, like, how people say the sparks have gone, there's no spark in our relationship anymore or anything like that. In essence, that goes back to the spirit, because if you're not acknowledging, if you're not, I want to say, feeding. Acknowledgement is basically feeding, with prayers, with just like, thanks and gratitude to the spirit that brought you all together. The flame will die, because it's like, okay, you're not giving me anything. Everything in life is an energetic exchange. So if you're not giving, you won't receive. And then when things, tend to, you get into arguments all the time, you're disagreeing about the smallest things, like things like that. It could just simply be a matter of, how do we reconnect? And to move on to the next one, the technique for that also will be touch meditation, and I'll get into that after. So next we have the physical intimacy. So this is the most commonly known one. It could be categorized as hugging, kissing, massages, sexual touch, cuddling, and proximity. So to define physical, you have relating to the body, relating to things perceived through the senses. So it's not just touch also, but smell, taste, seeing, hearing. I'm trying to think of all of the senses, but all of the senses that you can actually physically um, digest. So basically, um, we can I feel like we can all say that we've experienced some form of intimacy as far as physical intimacy. So, because we hug people, well, probably not anymore, kind of because COVID, but like, when we were all hugging, we were all mwah, mwah, kisses on the cheek. If you have a loved one, sexual intercourse. Also, you have cuddling where you're just cuddled up, whether that's with a human being, an animal, your children, just cuddling, that touch aspect. So basically, that's what physical intimacy comes into. And touching, I feel like, is key to physical intimacy, because as humans, who have the ability for sensory feeling, touching is so healing to humans. That's why, we have the practices of Reiki, which is like, an energetic cleansing by touch. It doesn't necessarily have to be through touch, but touch is such an amazing form of healing, that's truly what I would like to focus on for the physical aspect. And again, touch meditation would be that technique. So here goes the fun part: the herbs that I recommend for these practices. First, we have calendula, which goes by Calendula officinalis. The planetary influence is going to be the sun. I don't know if you've ever seen calendula, but let me show you sis, because sis is fire. Um, she's like, it's dry, but she's like really beautiful, really yellow, resemblant of the sun, and also very healing. It's one of my favorite herbs to work with as far as skin, and even just, cleansing the system, because it's really good cooling herb. It's a bitter as well, so that aids in digestion. So calendula is one of the herbs that I brought forth also, because spiritually, if you use calendula, it can move, clear out old lingering conversations. So like if you're in a relationship and there's conversations that are hard to have, or you just need some push for that stagnation, like whatever it is that's creating that blockage in conversation, calendula is really good at moving those things, making it easier to, talk about them. It's great in aiding listening before speaking. We're humans. I just had this conversation with my brother the other day. Everybody's quick to say someone's not listening, but are we really in a listening practice? Like, what does it truly mean to be in a listening practice? I feel like, it's an on and off thing with everyone. I can't speak for everyone, but I know for me, it's times where it's like, okay, yes, I'm really listening, I'm really understanding, but it's times, where you get triggered and it's like, hold on, I ain't listening right now. So like, moving out of your own way and allowing using herbs like calendula to help you listen if you already know how you're going to react to a situation. Um, and it's also good for understanding and opening yourself up to sensitivity. And it brings light into dark spaces. I'm gonna say that one more time. Calendula brings light into dark spaces. So, whatever that may mean for you, if it triggered you or anything like that, I want you to think of dark spaces for you, whether it's, because again, we could bring this back. This is what I'm here for, to tie in the herbs to the practice. So, like with the mental intimacy, if you feel like you're in a place of depression, a place that is, somewhere not so light, like it's somewhere where, you're feeling yourself being drained, you're feeling yourself losing yourself to the darkness, calendula will definitely help to pull you out. Calendula will help you to face those fears. Calendula will help you be resilient to that darkness. And calendula will help you shine bright where you may be dimmed. That's why I love her. She's a beautiful herb. And just another note, most of the herbs that I use tonight are Oshun herbs. Mama Oshun came through strong for this teaching. So I honored her with some of these herbs. So calendula is definitely a Mama Oshun herb. And cinnamon is also a Mama Oshun herb. So next we're going to talk about violet. Violet's Latin name is viola. The planetary influence is going to be Venus and water. Energetics are sweet, cool, slightly bitter. Actions are, it's nutritive. I told y'all that's my favorite word. Nutrition, nurture, all that, even though that's different, but don't mind that. It's also a laxative, a diuretic, and spiritually, violet is so amazing. Usually, just a little side note, violet is used as a breast rub. Like if you make a violet oil, which I will be using today, it's a little violet oil, but violet is really good for massaging women and men, but mostly women, your breast area, so that your lymph nodes, it gets things flowing, gets the juices moving, but also bringing back that self-love aspect, the touch aspect. Like, how does it feel to be in tune with touching your body? So heart healing, that's what I wanted to say. Violet is really good for heart healing. So again, with the intimate practices, so if you're doing emotional intimacy and you want to do it with self, you sit with self, you may give yourself a massage with violet oil and just think about all of the loving aspects of yourself. What do you see for yourself? What love are you calling in for self? You could also, it eases, violet also eases and helps to moderate anger. So if you're dealing with some internalized anger, we tend to harbor anger in our liver. Oops, that's how real it is. We tend to harbor anger in our liver, and violet is very cooling. And the liver is also in connection with the skin. So simply, massaging your skin, massaging the area of the liver, because we all know it's on your upper right side, massaging it, cooling it, allowing yourself to acknowledge anger, because we tend to not acknowledge anger, and that's why it stays stagnant within the body, and that's when things start popping up like eczema, a whole bunch of different skin issues. And violet could also help you aid with that stagnation, drinking it internally as well. It speaks of joy. This is also why I like violet. And lacking sexual joy. So lacking sexual joy, some people are in this choose to, let me not say it like that. There is I want to say a disconnect for some when it comes to sexual intimacy, which is part of physical intimacy. So like they disconnect themselves to the connection of emotion that takes place as well. So it's like looked at as two separate entities as opposed to one. So violet can help you find joy in your sexual activity, find joy in the reconnection of those aspects of sex, because sex can be looked at in different aspects. I may have to do a class on that, but you can break up sex into different things, but as one sex is supposed to be joyful. So if you're not having joyful sex and you want to have joyful sex, drinking violet before, or like, just meditating with violet, massaging again, the skin contact with violet would be very good. And it's also a herb for introverts because again, that joy, the easing things and easing anxieties and worries, but also allowing you to be in your true self. Um, and then lastly, we have cinnamon. We all know cinnamon, canela, if you are, Spanish speaking. But cinnamon is ruled by the sun, Mercury, and fire, which is important. I know I'm giving y'all planetary. Some of you may understand, some of you may not, but some of the planetary is important to understand because again, everything in the universe is ruled by energy. So having influence from the sun, we all know the sun to be fiery. We all know the sun to be strong. We all know the sun to give life, to warm things, make things warm, especially in the body. Sitting in the sun on a summer day, you feel it on your body. So Mercury is good for communication. If you know your planets, Mercury is the ruler of communication. Being a Gemini, I'm ruled by Mercury. So like communication is super important, and cinnamon helps to aid that process, which I'll get into. And fire, you already know what fire does. Fire is here to create and destroy. So those are the planetaries. Energetics would be hot, pungent, yang, bitter, and sweet. Yes to the sweetness. Actions are antibiotic, you have antiviral, aphrodisiac, aromatic, expectorant, all things that are moving within the body. So we'll talk about that. So spiritually, cinnamon encourages love. You can chew it before tough conversations to bring forth sweetness. Again, to the Mama Oshun herbs. Mama Oshun, she's not all about sweetness, but she definitely fights for sweetness. That's why she's all about the honey. Bringing sweetness to conversations is super, 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 super important. That's one thing I'm learning daily. Not everything needs to be said bluntly. Not everything needs to be said overtly. Sometimes we need to step back and, allow ourselves to process what we're about to say and how can we say this in the sweetest way possible. Because sometimes, where we feel we need to be aggressive and on defense and, like ready for battle, sometimes sweetness will definitely change the outcome of the situation. So chewing it before tough conversations will definitely help. It helps to bring back passion. If you lack passion, you feel you lack passion. If you're feeling disconnected from your emotions, or you want to reconnect with your sweet and spicy side. So being that cinnamon is so warming, it helps the circulatory system. And we know our circulatory system is connected to our heart. So when your heart is pumping, health is healthy and pumping the way it should, circulation is good, the body continues to flow, things are the way they should be. If you allow things like cinnamon, which warm the body and increase this flow, the connection from when you disconnect from your emotions, that's what I want to say. If you disconnect from your emotions, you tend to be what they say icy, like you are ice queen. Your heart is of ice, on ice, however you want to say it. But using warming herbs help to dissolve that coldness. They help to dissolve that loneliness, that disconnect, where it's like I'm not talking from my heart, I'm just talking solely from logic. So cinnamon is definitely a herb. That's why it's considered aromatic, to help stimulate sensuality, to help warm the body, but also to reconnect to those emotions that are deeply rooted in us, whether they are positive or not, but they help to move things that may have been stagnant. So that's enough of the school part. Now it's time for like the techniques. Again, please drop your email if you know me personally and you want this document. You can hit me up on the side. I promise next class it will be better transitions as far as the worksheets. But for the first technique is how to make an oil. So it's going to be a massage oil. So basically what we're going to do today, I have like about a 7-ounce jar here. And again, we're using calendula, cinnamon, and violet. So I think for this one, I'm not going to use all three. I think I'm only going to use calendula and cinnamon. That's what I'm being called to do, which sounds really cool. It sounds really like warming, and definitely Mama Oshun. So you definitely want to put about a quarter, that may be a little bit too much, a quarter of the herb in the jar. And with the cinnamon, I just be mindful. You can do it to your eye, or if you want to do it by measurement, definitely no more than a teaspoon, because cinnamon is so warming and you don't want to make it too warming on the skin where the skin will become irritated, being that you're using it on the skin. So you're going to pour about a teaspoon into the jar, or to your eye if you're already a herbalist and you know what you're doing. You do it to how you want to do it. So basically like a teaspoon, which would look like this, and you want to give it a little shake up. Me, I like to shake my stuff up just so it's getting mixed before I add any of the liquids. And another practice of mine is I like to speak into my products. So basically, you can pray, you can sing, you can whatever it is that you would like to input into your medicine. So basically, being that I'm making a skin oil, I most likely will be praying or speaking intention. That's what I want to say. Speaking intent into your product. So basically, I'm definitely looking to speak intent on bringing in warmth where I need it within my body, connecting me back to my sensuality. What does it mean? I'm definitely thinking, what does it mean to be intimate with myself? Because, being honest, as I, share this information with you all, it's also learning for me. So, how am I intimate with myself emotionally? So I definitely will be praying those things and putting that intention into this oil. On the worksheet, I have that you can use any oil of your liking, because not everybody's skin is the same. So you can use coconut oil. You would obviously have to melt it first, especially being that it's winter and it solidifies. You can use extra virgin olive oil, which I like to use, being that my skin be dry. And I like the thickness of olive oil sometimes, depending, not really so much on my face, but all over my body is pretty cool. If you like almond oil, if you like, all the good stuff, sunflower oil, all the oils. So whatever oil that you're looking for, grapeseed oil, that works for you. So what you do is, I'm going to pour the oil first, make sure I don't make a mess. And you're basically going to cover it with the oil. Okay. You're basically going to just cover it with the oil. I'll show you in a second after I clean up my little mess. Okay. So you have here, see, it's full with the oil. I usually cover it to like the first crease. Most jars have this crease. So say, for example, say hi chamomile, but this crease up here is where you would fill it. But again, just taking a second, you hold it with your two hands and set your intention. So I'm going to start, just speaking into my little jar, and give me a second. I'll be back in a second. Okay. I didn't want to make it too long, but you say your prayers, you say your intent, and then you want to blow into it. So basically, sealing the prayer, sealing the process. So just, and then after I do that, I seal, and you shake it up. Just make sure you get in everything. Nothing is sitting at the bottom. Give it a good little shake. And one thing I tend not to do, but you need to do, because don't be like me, label. Because you'll make something and be like, oh, what is that? I don't know what it is. So you just put, what it is. I'm going to put calendula and cinnamon and extra virgin olive oil. Today is the 15th, so 2/15/21. And I usually like to put the planets where the moon is, what type of moon. That's if you're down with for that. And then you just label your stuff. And boop, you have that. And this you let sit in the sun, in the window, wherever in your house you get the most sunlight. You let it sit there for 6 to 8 weeks. There's also another process if you need it like quick fast. I usually just like the solar because you know it's not tempered in any way as far as like overheating and depleting the value of the herb. Because if you can singe it, basically burn the herb if you overdo it on the stove. But one practice that I like is I'll gently heat up the oil, and then pour it over, like same jar how I had it before, dry herbs, pour it over and just let it sit for a week or so. But being that it's already heated and hot, it'll extract from the herbs better. So down to our last practice. Let me know how y'all feeling in the chat. Y'all kind of quiet over there. I ain't seen no comments or nothing for a good minute. Let me know what's going on before I get into the last technique. And let me put the book, like I said. So that's the book. And the last technique is one of my favorites. So touch meditation. Many people get into meditation and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to meditate. I don't think I'll be able to meditate. How do you do it? What's going on? It took me a very long time to understand that there is not just one form of meditation. Most people, yes, you want to get to the state where you're sitting still, in your space of grounding and, silence, not moving. But some people, like me, I had to learn, are not really good for sitting still. It's you have to work yourself to that practice. But walking meditation is a form of meditation. Walking through the park, showering, creating a space basically of grounding and easing your mind, easing your worries. So touch meditation, again, in the book that I've just put in the chat, Spirit of Intimacy, Mrs. Somé basically explains that there's a practice that is done in her community, which is in Burkina Faso in Africa, where the elders of the community, they come together. So this will be tied into. Let me tie it into the worksheet. This will be tied into your spiritual as well as your emotional. So if there's conflict going on with a couple, if there's anything going on as far as relationships or anything, and especially familial as well, you can again sit in a space. So basically, you have you want to make sure your environment. Let's start with that. You want to make sure your environment is set the way that you want to. Whether it's dim lights and candles, whether it's incense burning, whether it's light music playing in the background, wherever it is that how you set your vibe is how you're going to set your vibe. You want to make sure you're grounding yourself with a few deep breaths, in and out, in through the nose, out through the nose, or in through the nose, out through the mouth. But making sure that you ground yourself. I'll do like a brief one in a second, just so you guys see an example. But you want to make sure that you're grounding yourself. And then it comes down to the touch aspect. So with self-touch, you can simply just, hug yourself. This is, one of the techniques that we don't tend to use because it's like we're like, why am I hugging myself? But hugging yourself, placing your hands on specific parts of your body. So like your heart, your stomach, wherever it is that your womb for the women, wherever it is that you feel you want to call in healing, call in love. And then you have, so in those practices, those will be for the self aspect of the self touch meditation. Then you have the couple touch meditation. So this comes in different forms. You could either sit back to back. I keep hitting this thing. You could either sit back to back, basically somebody sitting this way, the other person's back is towards yours, and just leaning in on that energy, matching each other's breaths, if that's what you feel called to do. But I'll get into more detail. You could do face to face with your partner, basically intense eye contact, like, just setting into each other's eyes, looking at each other deeply and intentionally. I'll be making up words. And then you can do face to face and holding hands. So basically, if you want to just look your partner in the face and gently hold each other's hands, or gently hold each other if you have enough space to like hold each other's hips or wherever you feel comfortable placing your hands on your partner. That's also another aspect of touching meditation. And then for families, if it's on a bigger scale, you're more limited to like the touching, but you have, because anyways, because you definitely could go into like holding hands in a circle, kind of like kumbaya, but we're not gonna do that. But like holding hands and just being in touch. And if there's a certain person that you feel like you are in conflict with at that time, utilizing that space to touch that person, or utilizing that space to, be in that person's energetic field, as far as not absorbing their energy, but how is it that you're exchanging this energy. So basically, how are you tapping into, basically what I want to say is healing each other. So someone's upset with you, instead of talking, you're beyond the level of talking. You may go and give this person a hug. You may go and just simply put your hand on their shoulder if they allow you to do so. Know what you're doing. Don't just do this with somebody who is just no. But getting in their field, allowing them to know that you are there, you are present, you are ready to do the work. So here you want to just, sit still, continue to deep breathe while you're in these practices. And then, for example, if I'm doing, let me ground myself. So basically, as I said before, you want to ground yourself, take a few deep breaths. I'm going to take 3. And as I continue to take my deep breaths, I'm just going to wrap my arms around myself. This is just a self practice, being that I'm here by myself, but this is most important for me. You hold yourself, and whatever comes up, a lot may come up because something is coming up for me now. You just allow yourself to breathe. And you can add different things. So, like, you can add the words of confirmation, affirmation. So, like, you are loved. I don't. I told y'all it's a learning process. Excuse me, but words of affirmation like you are loved. Your love is beyond this world. Um, Different things that you feel like you need to hear for yourself. And as long as you need to be in this space, you allow yourself to be in this space. But being that I'm teaching, give me a second, y'all. But you ooh, you this is how like deep this is. I know I'm just teaching right now, but this is like a different level of healing. So like, and the most hardest one, it's easy to do things with people, but it's sometimes hard to do it with self. So using self, moving through self, allowing self to be. Because you see, I simply could have been like, oh no, I'm not gonna cry, I can't cry, I'm on live. No, if it comes up, let it be. If it is, you want to yell, and you can do so, but make sure that you're not harming yourself or others. But the self part is important, because all the work starts internally before you can do the work externally. So that honestly was the last one. Touch meditation. I'm excited to see the feedback. I'm excited to have done this with you guys. Thank you all so much. Um, yeah, and let me know what you think. If you have any topics, the next one I think I'm going to teach is going to be on ancestral altars. Being that I get a lot of requests on ancestral altars, or just ancestral work. Period. So look out for that. And thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate the love. I love you. I see you, Mr. Ron. I see you, Mommy. I see you, Ibeji. But thank you all so much for tuning in, and good night.